Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi,
back again.
That's Just Ridiculous.
Back again.
Great to have you back this week.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to say something.
About
That's Just
platforms.
Ridiculous.
About the platforms.
That's Just Ridiculous is a That's Just Ridiculous production.
Is
TM, made by That's Just Ridiculous Productions at That's Just Ridiculous Studios.
No, at that Just Ridiculous house.
House.
The studios.
Studios,
Yeah,
right.
studios. Produced by
That's Just Ridiculous.
and featuring
me, Paul Fryer.
and me, Guy Kenaway.
This is how what they do on normal podcasts.
It
Anyway,
is.
we've gone like this for ages.
We're sponsored by.
Yes, and we want to really thank you all for tuning in. Tuning in.
That's tuning in.
Yeah. Guy, would you like to thank everyone for tuning in?
I'd love to thank everyone for tuning in.
I'd like to thank everyone for
It's really
tuning
good.
in.
And the mailbag's been very full this week.
The mailbag has been full.
This week. The ball bag's been full this week. And then they always go, and later in the programme, we're going to talk to a really interesting person who's been in the studio.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to
review what we said last week.
Oh, wait, did they do that?
I just want to thank everybody.
Oh, they're always thanking
who wrote
people.
in. And also, we'd like to thank my mummy and my daddy.
No, you're
Dad.
overdoing it now, Paul. You're overdoing it.
I want to
They don't
thank
say
God
things like that.
for this opportunity. But anyway, it is like that. I noticed that we're listening to other podcasts. I just want to have a bitch about other podcasts for a bit. Can I? May I? Is that all right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've earned the right.
Well, we've been going
after
a year now,
year.
so if you don't like it, you can.
Yeah.
Fuck
I'd love
off.
to know what other podcasts you sluts, listen to.
Podcasts.
God, you go
What are
anywhere.
they?
Honestly, we don't expect
Multiple
much,
partners.
but yeah.
What do they call that now? Polygamy.
No, polyamory.
Podcast
Polyamory.
yamory.
It's a word meaning let's take advantage of a vulnerable woman and give it a long name. Oops.
Is that what that means? Yes. Sometimes women say they're polyamorous.
That means they're being taken advantage of by a shit.
Oh, is that right? Is that what it means?
And he's talked us this long name for it.
Oh, I see.
In my
But what
humble
about,
opinion,
oh, Guy,
I don't like it.
so you don't like polyamory?
Well, I don't dress it up in a name like that. Say it for what it is.
What's that? Shagging around?
Some bloke just trying to con as many vulnerable women into shagging him as possible.
That's
It's the same
weird.
old story. But at least fucking call it what it is.
Yeah, okay.
What
Anyway.
do you think of becoming polyamorous?
I don't
Would
think
it suit you?
people
Would the
should-
lifestyle suit you?
What?
Polyamory.
You just told me what it is. I'm not going to do it now, am I?
Well, I'm just asking if the lifestyle would suit you.
Well, you've just said it's exploitative and
I
cruel.
think it is, yeah. I think
So I'm not going to do that, am I? You mean, would I like to have more than one partner?
What?
Did you say that you wanted to have a harem recently?
No, I don't think I've... No, quite the reverse. I
said, oh my God, can you imagine? No
I
way.
said, what about a harem? What a nightmare.
God, can you imagine? They'd all gang up on you.
God, within about a minute. It would be... How would you manage that? They'd burn you out of house and home. You'd be spending your life in the car, sitting outside
In
the
the
house.
shed.
In the shed. I cannot go in there.
You need a couple of decoy sheds, actually.
Yeah, it'd be an absolute nightmare. Can you imagine the trouble
Is
they
it
must get?
sexist, what you're saying now?
No, I think it's
You're
perfectly
making out women
reasonable.
are a
Any
nightmare.
woman I know put in that situation would give her bloke hell. Rightly so. And I hope my daughter would too. If my daughter's man came back and said there's been a slight change, there's 6 birds.
Well, in
moving
that situation,
There's 6
what
birds moving in.
would happen?
And I'm
Guy,
going to shag them all.
is the women would end up liking each other more than they like you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then they'd say, look, why don't we change the locks? And it's the simplest way of
And
doing it.
fuck him off. He's
Fuck
just
him
a
off.
fucking wanker.
But the reason, do you know why they don't?
Why?
Because he cuts off their heads. Because luckily
the
he's thought of that one. You know, he's seen that one coming
What,
up.
you mean like Fred West?
So no, not like Saudi, like Saudi Arabian. You know,
Oh, Henry VIII.
in the old days.
Yeah.
In the old days, heys a.
What about, how would
can
you
do
feel,
your
Guy?
Cockney film director?
How would you
Can you
feel?
do your Cockney film director?
No, mate, I've got an idea for a movie, right? It's a fucking blinder, right? Have you heard of polyamory, right? It's when a geezer has got more than one bird under a roof, as it is like a sort of a harem, right? The idea for this movie, right, is it's the other way around. You've got loads of geezers and one bird, and she's like controlling them all. You know what I mean? What do you think? Are you fucking in or out? Hold on. No, listen, Guy. Listen. What about it that way around?
7 blokes in a room in a house and 1 bird.
7 brothers for 1 bride.
Some of them were gay. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, it is a bit gay.
God, what?
I'm not. That's not the question.
What about the High Chaparral? Hello.
Manolito.
Yes. Well, what are they? Oh, can you get any of their names?
Ricardo.
Chubby.
Yeah, Monolito.
Who is Monolito?
Wasn't that Ricardo Montalban?
I can't remember the names of any of them.
He was in that, wasn't he? He was like the tall kind of Mexican guy who played Khan in Star Trek.
Oh no, you lost me now.
Yeah, you see. You're out of your
And they were like
depth,
7 brothers, were they? High Chaparral.
High Chaparral. Oh, that's the Waltons.
Anyway, there's no mention of the pogrom of the indigenous Indians.
No.
High Chaparral managed to somehow not include an episode about that.
Bloodbath, yeah.
Yeah, that was going on.
Allowed them to have their chaparral.
Yeah.
And the indigenous Mexicans.
Anyway, I'd like to welcome our American listeners. You are not murderers. You did no worse to the American Indians than we did.
Than the Nazis did.
Well, hold on. What is
Well, hello.
No. Come on. The British history is not without blemish.
I never said it was.
And except, oh no, I tell you what. Unless it's the Irish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the Irish.
Don't say it. if you're gonna intimate, Gary, had it coming.
No, I'm
sorting out your mic.
Don't come near me.
I'm sorting your mic.
The Irish. It was a terrible situation with the Irish.
Yes.
They did not deserve it.
Thank you, Guy.
And they did not deserve it. They were good people.
Very good people.
They were not necessarily the
what?
The luckiest.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. Would you call the Irish lucky? The luck of the Irish. And that's always made me laugh, that phrase.
Fuck's sake, man.
Most benighted country.
They've done all right since, haven't they?
Yeah, they have actually. Because you know why? They've taken the sides of the Germans and the French against the English.
George Bernard Shaw.
You know, although he was Irish, he sort of lived in Britain, didn't he?
Did he come out on the side of the Nazis?
What? No, surely not. He was a really left wing. No, George Bernard Shaw would never make that mistake. P.G. Wodehouse did.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dirty bastard.
He stayed in Paris after, I think...
Oh, he loved it, I bet.
Way up, I think even after the... I think after the invasion, but I'm not sure. He was very late in Paris, though. He should not have been there.
Having far too good a time with the fishy. Yeah,
well, I just...
What are you on about now?
Well, I guess that the role of the Frenchman in the Second World War is yet to, I think, really be
You're
settled.
still on this, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm just...
You cannot get off this subject.
Let's move straight off onto it.
You cannot get off it, Guy.
Yeah, well, I heard a Polish guy, very angry Polish guy, saying the Germans came into our country and they did unspeakable things, and for some reason we have to call them Nazis. And it really, and it's annoying, even after 80 years on, they have not yet atoned for it. I listened to him on the radio, and I thought, God, that's a bit fruity for Radio 4. And then he went on a bit, and when I hadn't accidentally, I had forgotten that I had tuned into LBC, and it was the Nigel Farage show.
This is you all over. If you hear it on there as well, you think it's real, don't you?
On the
you think it's true.
It's LBC. It's a legitimate...
It's the Nigel fucking Farage show.
Right, okay. Anyway.
You embarrassed yourself recently by quoting him as well.
Everyone got very angry with me for
Well, I didn't get angry with it. I just thought, what the fuck are you doing?
I just thought it's the job of the
What
radio.
did he say? That
80% of our trade is not with the EU.
It's not with the EU, which is fucking bullshit.
Debatable. It turned out to be...
It's fucking nonsense.
Turned out to be debatable. If your version of a debate is, that's fucking bollocks.
I mean, he is a fucking manipulative bastard, whatever way you look at it. I'm sorry.
What happened to the Derek Jarman book? Did you get bored of it? Did you?
No, I read it.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, it's good. It's a really good book. I enjoyed it.
You like it down in Kent, don't you?
I do like Kent, yeah. I was down there again recently.
I find it very dull countryside.
Yeah, but I've got to take you out in my boat, Guy, and show you the Seal family. And
the listener will know that this is something he's always pretending.
It's a romance.
He's always promising me, and he never comes through with it.
Well, you know.
And I bet you that you get a lady on board.
If you weren't gallivanting so much, Guy.
I was hitting here waiting for my invitation.
Gallivanting.
But the thing is that Kent is a long way from Somerset and many rungs below it in attraction.
But there's no water here, Guy. There's no sea here.
For a boat?
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that Kent's got over Britain. Over
yeah, I mean, if you've got a boat, that's quite a big thing.
What about Weymouth? We could berth there, can't we?
Dorset.
Right. Don't you like Dorset?
I don't mind it, but it's not Somerset.
Can't we chug your boat round?
What?
Can't we chug your boat round?
You'd love to do that, wouldn't you? You're quite keen on boats, aren't you, Guy?
No, I tell you what it is. I think some of my family were bargees.
A likely story.
No, they were bargees. My great uncle was, and I think I've got bargee blood in me, because when I see a barge and I see one of those low bridges or a long tunnel, brick tunnel, something stirs deep in me, and I go, "This is my territory."
Do you come over all a bit?
I know this. No, just like I know this territory, but I was never allowed to go onto the barges.
Why?
Finer things, fate held bigger things in store for me.
So
But I
beneath you, was it?
No, not at all. And you know what my relatives used to do? Sapperton Tunnel won't mean anything to you. It's a tunnel where they cut it must be through the Cotswold Hills, by Sapperton.
When you say they, who do you think that was, Guy?
I suspect what we did was we found a group of people who were happy with menial work and joyous just to.
Do you know who they were, Guy? Those
Were
people?
they possibly from a place called what's it called, Ireland?
They were called navvies, Guy. Do you know why they were called navvies?
Why?
Because they cut the navigation, navigation canal.
Well, can I say on behalf of the English, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, that's all right. We died in our thousands doing it, you know.
Well, it's all right because the canal's very straight, and what need we?
You know, yeah, you should be grateful.
Anyway, and what they used to do was
our engineering skills.
I was taught that people, the bargees in my family would lie on the top of their canal, on the top of their boats, and put their feet on the roof.
Yeah, I've seen that done.
Have you?
Yeah.
At a party.
And you walk like that, and you go through the tunnel.
That's it. When
That's
did
how
you
they
see
used to
that?
do it. I've seen it done.
You've already got a pair of gloves on, by the way.
I'm putting these on now.
Yeah.
What's wrong with these?
I just saw you putting two pairs on at the same time.
I'm not even drunk.
No, you're not.
God, the cat's really making me itch today.
The cat?
The cack.
Podcat?
He's fucked off. Are you looking forward to Christmas, Guy?
It's very unusual, this, because I'm drinking and Paul's not, and I don't think we've ever had that particular...
No, I've got a 3-week hangover.
3 weeks.
It must be, and I've had enough. I can't drink for a bit. I just
You're vodka sodden.
I have to say, I'm looking at that though, and I want one now.
You're tequila sodden.
Get me a fucking glass.
I'll get you a glass. Hold on. Listen, I'll be back in a minute. This is a medical emergency.
It is. I'm going to have a drink. Guy, watch out. There we go. So, guys.
A cigarette too.
No, I don't know about a cigarette. I'm not going to bother with that. We've got a nice Macon Village from Aldi. I like Aldi.
You like what?
I like Aldi. It's my favourite shop at the moment.
Village.
Yeah.
Hold on. Actually, that's Paul having a wee-wee.
Guy, where are you going?
Get a cigarette.
I'm just saying, it's the thing we used to do. We used to when we were kids, it was always a thing about trying to think of humiliating things to do to your friends when they were too drunk. And it was usually the same kids that used to get really drunk and fall asleep and end up with one eyebrow. But my favourite one was that, because I was fascinated by the mechanism, Guy, apart from anything else. I mean, how does that work?
I'm not interested.
Guy!
I'm not interested.
Why?
This podcast is meant to be about more interesting subjects.
I want to know how that works.
Like a childish game.
I want to know how it works.
I
If
need
you're
a shot
really
of
drunk,
salvation, baby,
that if
every
you're really
once in a
drunk,
while.
if you're really drunk, lying on a sofa,
Well, it won't work with me, I
and
tell you
someone
that.
puts your hand, this is why you're worried, isn't it? You think I'm going to do it to you. That's what it is.
No, but Paul,
you think I'm going to do that to you?
Hold on, just
I'm going to sneak into your room one night and just really gently get your arm out from under the bedclothes. Mind you, you never know what you might find. I might not bother doing that. And then just put it gently into a bowl of hot water.
Paul, how old are you?
And then
How old are you? I'm a mature male. I'm an adult. I don't do those kind of things, you know.
Because apparently you wee yourself.
Yeah, but I'm quite close to this part of my life when I'm going to do that involuntarily. It's not trying to bring it on. It's not trying to make it worse.
The hot water's not necessary, is it? Yeah.
No.
Cheers.
Cheers, yeah. Cheers.
Where do you stand on tenor man then?
Tenor man?
Yeah, like ladies have all these things, you know, various things that they put in their knickers or whatever, because as you get older and you've had kids or something, like sometimes ladies laugh when they wee when they laugh and stuff like that. But what do you think
If the
about
joke's any good.
men? Don't.
If
yeah.
the joke's any good.
If it's any good, yeah. But men are a bit squeamish about things like that, aren't they?
What do you mean?
Well, basically wearing things in their underwear.
Oh, right. Medical plants.
Medical.
Appliances. I'm not actually wearing a plant.
You're not wearing an appliance.
Medical plants, no. I haven't gone a whole day without one.
Do you remember those?
No, but I remember once I wore a pair of white trousers to go on a balloon trip with my nephews. They're very funny, Jack and Alex. They make me laugh. And they were about 13 and 14. And I went before and had I thought I'd take a quick piss before I get in the basket. And it was like all the way down the front of my white trousers with this patch of liquid pee, basically. And they fucking pissed themselves laughing the whole way.
Were they merciless?
It caught it just touched their funny bone. They're about 13 and 14.
Uncle
Guy.
Uncle
and
Guy
they still now tease me about it.
Uncle Guy. Do you remember that day when Uncle Guy weeded himself?
And they would get in the white trousers.
In the white trousers.
Yeah. Someone called me a wanker too that day, and they remember that as well.
So someone called you a wanker as well. How brilliant.
Later on, I was showing off at the celebration. We had breakfast when we landed.
Wanker.
Yeah, and I shouted. I was talking too loudly, and someone said, "What wanker?" And they heard it. They love that. I like having the piss taken out of me.
What about in the back of, you see, I always remember like in the back of things like Marvel comics and stuff, there were all these little adverts. Do you remember them?
No, I never read them.
And there were things like...
we had books and all.
There were things like X-ray vision glasses.
Oh yeah, I never...
A real Luger. I remember looking at these and marvelling at the things you could buy in America, like war surplus Luger, $30. Googly eyes.
Yeah. Hence Sandy Hook.
Weird ghost that you could, like, it would just operate itself. Some kind of flying saucer that flew around the room.
You see, this backs up my idea that the people who went to America were the people we chucked out of the British villages, who are hucksters and losers and annoying shits. And we said go to America because America is a place of hucksters and shits, turns out.
Oh, you changed your tune.
What do you mean?
Well, you were loving them last time I spoke to you. Oh, I love the Americans, they're great.
Which
and now
ones?
they're hucksters and losers.
No, they're hucksters and losers and snake oil salesmen because we just to get
Well,
out
all
of our
of them.
village, will you? Have you ever heard of a boat called the Mayflower? Get on it, mate.
Guy,
you're not wanted around here
last
anymore.
week you were going on about how lovely it is and hello to all our American friends, and now this week you're on about how much you fucking...
I just like to clarify some points I said about America then. I really like anyone... a sign of intelligence in an American is somebody who listens to a podcast. I always think that's absolutely...
Any
the bar
podcast.
is set. Particularly one.
Particularly
ours.
Our podcast.
And if you're listening to this and you're American, good on you.
All right by us, chum.
You've
Spread
cleared
the
the
word.
bar. You've cleared the bar.
You have a chance to
Everything's
educate
fine.
your friends.
Everything's fine. I believe in your country.
But-
and I know you wouldn't have done that to the American Indians. What would you do? You would have gone and said, stop.
Stop this now! This instant.
No, you would have.
So anyway, there was a particular advert that used to fascinate me, and it was one of the few you saw in English papers too, which was a medical truss. What the hell is that, guy?
That's because people get, I was going to say a hyena.
A hyena. It's his hyena playing up again. I've got all that to look forward
George
to.
Clooney hasn't got a hyena, has he? He's perfect specimen.
George Clooney?
Yeah, perfect
Are
specimen.
you a bit jealous of him?
Him and Cary Grant are good to look at, and Paul Newman as well. Just as sort of.
I don't like the way he does that with his head, though.
Oh, you think he's a bit pleased with
Oh,
himself?
he's so fucking pleased with himself.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't mind. Cary Grant was great, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was cool.
And Paul Newman, at all stages, Paul Newman. But
I've sung at the piano, by the way, Guy, and looked out.
end of story.
looked out across the audience, and who was standing there, nodding appreciatively?
Nixon.
George Clooney.
Was it? I bet you fucked up. Did you then
In
get
the
drunk
Groucho
and go over to him and say, Joe, hello, have you
Everyone's
read
going, "Oh my
Bazooka
God,
Joe?
George Clooney's at your gig."
I'm in Bazooka Joe.
No, it wasn't Bazooka Joe, it's just me singing at the piano with Rod.
With Rod
Yeah.
Stewart.
Not Rod Stewart, Rod from the Groucho Club.
Oh, right. Yeah, but he Rod on the Groucho Club as a high pedigree. He wrote, or he was in...
What a waste. Do. What a waste.
Yeah, I love
He
the
wrote
song.
that.
Ian Dury, yeah.
With Ian. He was in a band with Ian.
He had polio, Ian Dury.
Yeah.
And my friend had polio. And
My dad had it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Name dropper.
It's true.
Well, I was just talking about you have to know someone who's got it.
My dad. For fuck's sake.
Name dropping diseases. Anyway, and he wrote...
Disease drop.
And he... disease dropping. Condition dropper.
Scurvy. Have you had that? I've had that.
Oh, of course you would.
Knob rot. I've had knob rot.
You always have to have something better than me.
Impacted testicle. Have you ever had one of them? Diseases aren't what they used to be, though. We've eradicated.
And he wrote to Ian Dury a thing.
He wrote to who?
Ian Dury about his polio.
Did you say Ian Drury?
Dury it is it?
Yeah, Drury.
Dury. And he said, I will put it in the polio folio. Your letter.
So what you said? In the polio folio.
I quite like that. Put it in the polio folio.
A very unpleasant man by all accounts.
That's what you were saying the other day.
Yeah. Although, I mean,
he presented as a kind of as a sweetheart, didn't he?
Yeah, well, my dad loved him, obviously.
Trevor.
Knock me down with a feather.
Yeah.
Clever Trevor.
But, you know, he had his challenges.
Did you see that movie about him?
I saw him play live, did you?
No.
I saw him play live at the Hammersmith Apollo.
No, I never saw him play live.
Hammersmith Odeon.
But I remember my dad really liked him because he had polio. My dad had polio, and I remember he came on the telly, and at the same time they did a simultaneous broadcast in FM stereo. So we had the telly on, and we had the stereo on as well, and it was fucking really exciting because you had really good sound and the picture on the screen.
Right.
And it was like being there.
What was going on in it? Is Ian Dury playing live?
Ian Dury playing live, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I must have seen Rod. He must have been on the stage there when I was like 18 or 19.
Yeah, Rod must have been on stage.
He must have been on stage, yeah. Now I see him at the Grouch.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, singing.
Plinking along.
The Piano Man.
The Piano Man.
Yeah. I like it when Rod, if someone comes up to him and says, do you know Summertime? He goes, oh, fuck off. And they go, what? Fuck off, I'm not playing it.
Actually, when I was last there was a younger man in his place.
Yeah.
He's gone to the dogs.
It ain't what it was.
It ain't, is it?
It is what it is. It's all gone downhill, hasn't it?
Has it? Not everything's gone downhill. There must be something.
Tell me something
uphill.
that's gone uphill. God, struggling.
Something's gone uphill. Wine's gone uphill.
Availability of drugs.
Yeah, that's really gone uphill.
Wine's food, quality of food generally.
Quality of food's gone uphill.
Not after Brexit though.
Well, we don't know. The jury as well.
We're going to be having, what is it, chlorinated chickens on every street corner.
Turnip. Nothing wrong with turnip.
Well, you know, some of us know how to exist on food like that guy. You're going to struggle when you can't get your foie gras.
Would you eat foie gras if it was put in front of you? You did. You ate a tin of it from the fridge.
What?
I noticed. There was a tin of foie gras. What was up? He scoffed a lot.
He did, yeah. It wasn't me. How come we can't say we're protecting the humble? But there was somebody in this house here and it wasn't me.
He scoffed that whole tin of foie gras.
Did you?
Cheeky lad.
It was not me.
No, that's my son. Turn my back, the foie gras.
Would I put foie gras if it's put in front of me?
It's normally like, oh, they've been at the gin or the beer.
I know they explode a chicken to make it. No, goose.
It's a goose, yeah.
But the goose, they do like...
I don't think it sounds so bad. Like the goose is stuffed full of corn. I would quite like that life, where you just waddle around and someone comes every now and then and just gavages you with food. That's my idea of fun. Yeah. Well, go on, have some more, guy. Go on, have some more.
Go on, have just another little wafer thin mint.
Go on, have some more.
Fuck off, I'm stuffed.
Give me some more. Yeah. Right, stagger up. Get another double, triple serving of chips and mayo. And then I'm like mine-sweeping bits of bread at the dinner party.
Foie Gras De Guy. We could fatten you up, guy. And
I don't think as much as we could. We have.
With some fava beans and a good chianti.
What was that you said?
It's from the...
Fava beans and good chianti.
Yeah, I ate his liver with some fava beans and a good chianti.
Oh, right, that's a human. Is this
Why is he called Hannibal Lecter?
Because it was the name of the character in the book.
Why isn't he called Hannibal Lecturer?
He had the words.
Lecturer.
A lectur's a nice word.
Hannibal the Lecturer.
It's a great word. I remember.
Lecter.
I saw that film with Damien, funny enough, actually.
Really?
I didn't know Damien very well, but I went to see that film with him and Jay at Hammersmith Odeon.
Clang!
Not Hammersmith Odeon, Leicester Square Odeon.
Yeah.
What do you mean clang?
Name dropper. Just dropped a name.
What? Odeon?
I remember going to see Brazil at the Hammersmith.
Leicester Square Odeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that that's what London was after that. It had made such a strong impression on me.
Brazil?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like that in 5 years. It was like a vision of the future. It's very impressionable then.
Yeah. And they had that book that Matt had of medical experiments.
Not medical experiments, a criminal pathology.
Criminal pathology, and that book was obviously changing hands.
Things you couldn't unsee. Damien stole it from a bookshop.
Yeah, now that book was there that day.
From a medical
Because it
bookshop.
ended up with Matt. Matt's got that book now.
Has he?
Yeah.
Barn Doorhead, isn't it?
What's Barn?
Barn Doorhead.
So this is a book of, just explain actually what it is.
It's called A Criminal Pathology, and it's a book of photographs of people who've been done in or done themselves in various methods, either accidentally or by intention.
So there's like a series of really very shocking images.
Some of them I'm not even going to describe.
Very
so
shocking
bad.
images. And that book, they were well into those images because they wanted to. That's where they were going with it, weren't they? How far can we?
Yeah.
What can we put on a bit of flat page?
And Matt did that picture called Bullet Hole, which was
was that from it?
It was a bullet wound in the head.
Yeah, and was that from
it
that
looked
book?
a bit like a vagina.
It was colour though.
Yeah, and it's made of frames, wasn't it?
I remember that book being in black and white, but it was in colour.
It was in colour.
It was in colour. Yeah.
Barn Doorhead was a guy who discharged a shotgun into his head himself, but the top of his head looked like two barn doors, and there was a cavity where his brain used to be.
Right.
And very graphic images of it. The weirdest one in that, there was a test pilot who tried to eject from the aircraft that he was obviously going quite fast in, and the canopy had somehow not come off properly when he'd ejected,
Right.
and the result was it had scraped his head.
The roof hadn't come off,
It had scraped his head back across the fuselage. So there was a photograph of him lying on the tarmac, but it was like a close-up of his head and shoulders, and he was wearing like a really neat captain's uniform in blue serge with some markings on the collar, and then like a really neat shirt and tie with a black tie and a white, crisp white shirt. And then from where his neck was basically a very large triangle of mincemeat.
Oh God!
With one eye in it.
Listeners want to hear this.
But not a mark on him except one tiny speck of blood on the collar.
Because he's going at Mark 1 or whatever.
Yeah,
It blew all the way.
It was all going backwards.
Yeah.
But I remember studying that book for quite some time, and then Damien saying, "You can't unsee these things. Don't look. I'm going, fucking give me it here." And before he gave me, he was like, "You can't unsee what's in this book."
He was brilliant at that, wasn't he? He was brilliant at that.
Yeah, he's a bit of a shock jock back in those days. I don't mind that. I mean, I got into that a little bit on the internet. Like
Rotten.com, there used to be a thing called.
Yeah, Rotten.com, and also Faces of Death, which was all like...
It's quite kind of post-adolescent. Now we're more mature.
Yeah, we don't look at that
We
anymore.
prefer to look at a nice herbaceous border.
Yes, or a beautiful painting.
Or a good elevation of a Jacobean mansion.
Yes. Or just a simple flower.
Yeah, or a man coming towards you with a silver salver with some cup of champagne on it. These are the images that I now want to.
Yeah,
I want to unsee. I don't want to unsee.
The porn of later life.
Yeah.
Oh, nice butty.
Yeah, and
nice ginster.
Foie gras.
A steaming ginster.
Foie gras spread thickly on a triangle of toast.
On a ginster.
Foie gras on a sausage roll.
It's like that hair on a G-string. I don't know, what will be our pleasures in later life, in the twilight of our years?
I think it will be...
I think it's going to be heroin.
Good company. No, good company.
And heroin.
No, you can't have both.
I'm going back in, guy.
No, you can't. No. Pull out the plunger. I don't like any of that stuff.
No?
I'm not interested in heroin. Absolutely not interested in that drug.
You're not?
No way. It's just if you like being bored, it's your drug.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Well, if you're carrying a lot of...
To be honest, I'll declare my hand. I'm not very keen on junkies.
No.
I don't like their company. They've given up.
Do we know?
They've thrown in the towel. They put their cards down on the table and walked away from the game. You know, they've just given up. Come on, man.
They're stacked, haven't they?
Yeah.
Stacked their hand.
Yeah, no, I don't deal with that.
But mind you,
It's one of the few rules of this house, actually.
where do you stand on William Burroughs?
I really
'Cause he was a
found... I
junkie.
did find him... Then he straightened out, and then he started writing after he was a junkie. I don't think he wrote while he was a junkie. He straightened out...
He was always on the junk.
I thought that he straightened out and then he started writing.
Didn't he reward himself with it after he'd done something?
In that case, you're better informed than I am. Some of his writing's quite good, but he verges on that remark that they said about, well, who said it? Gore Vidal said of On the Road by Jack Kerouac. That's not writing, it's typing.
He is a bit like that.
You know,
I binge read a lot of his books recently because I realised I hadn't read any of them. So I read like the
Wild Boys, I remember.
Yeah, one of the Red Cities of the Red Night.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's typing. Definitely, that's typing.
I threw it at the wall at one point.
Yeah.
What was the really famous one?
How about this? I'll tell you something.
He's a boring.
I'll tell you something. It did happen. I went to this. I was asked to talk at this festival. I think I mentioned it, but anyway. But one of the side shows at the festival was a small tent that you went into. I didn't know this, and there was it's quite dark, and there were a few people there, and they were reading from a book.
Dirty book.
And what happened was that if you read, you got given a glass of absinthe, quite a big mug of absinthe, and then you read, and then you drank your absinthe, and you weren't refilled until you read some more pages. And they were reading Baudelaire. Now, I've heard Baudelaire, I heard the name and used the name, I'm sure, many times, but I've never actually really heard Baudelaire. I didn't know they were reading Baudelaire. I thought they were reading this drunk's poet. This drunk was standing up reading this stuff.
Making it up.
No, and I thought, wow. Oh, this is going to be terrible. But I started listening to it, and I thought, wow, how did this guy write this stuff? It's amazing. It's kind of epic and passionate. It really, and I sat there and I thought, and someone said, let's go, it's boring. I said, no, this is extraordinary. I thought the bloke had written it. I didn't realise that he was reading Baudelaire. I thought he was reading his own work, drinking absinthe. And I thought, the man was a genius. How has he done it at a young, tender age? It's extraordinary.
And he's bastard.
And he's bastard. Turned out it was like an absinthe.